If you are feeling stuck in your business, I just want you to know that it's not that you're failing. It's that you've probably outgrown where you are. And I think that for a lot of people, that might be an aha moment because we can feel stuck for a long time trying to figure out what's wrong. What else do I need to do? What are the tactics and strategies I need to be implementing? And sometimes we need to pivot. Sometimes we need to evolve in order to get out of feeling stuck. And I can talk about this because I have felt like that at different times in my business. And just knowing that there is something that needs to shift and being able to step back and actually say, okay, when I look at everything, what is happening? What do I need to do now? So that is what I want to talk about today because I have had so many conversations with clients who have felt this way. We're going to talk about a couple of different things today when it comes to business, the portfolio, career, and just the state of the market at the moment. Now, if we've not met, hey there, I'm Suze Chadwick. I am a personal brand and business coach. I've had my business for over 10 years, and I mainly work with women, not only, but mainly work with women to help them build a brand that sells for them and get out of their own way. And I feel like the get out of your own way is what we're talking about today. So I want to talk about what's happening, but then also key things that you can do that can really help you to get out of feeling stuck. And can I just say, sometimes the most productive, the most action centered, the most proactive people feel this way as well. Like it's not like you're failing if you feel stuck. I think that this is a cycle that we go through. So you start your business, you get everything set up, you sell, you get clients, and there will be a moment in time where you get to a point where you're like, okay, something needs to shift, something needs to change. And sometimes the speed at which you do that and the speed at which you recognize that something needs to change can be challenging. Now, sometimes the first thing that you need to do is stop consuming, get off Instagram, close all the tabs. And even as I'm speaking to you right now, I think I've got about 10 tabs open. And the question we have to ask ourselves is why do we have so much going on? Why do we need to have that much coming at us? Because sometimes it is the amount of things that we're putting on ourselves that create the stuckness. I always tell clients from a mindset and a neuroscience perspective, we feel overwhelmed and stuck when we ask our brain to do too many things, when we are putting too much on ourselves. So that's the first thing is to actually take a step back and say, what have I got on my plate? What am I overloading myself with? What is it that I could take away? And I think auditing and editing are two things that you need to do as quickly as possible in order to see what needs to change and shift and go. It's the whole stop, start, continue method that you should implement in your business whenever you get to a point where you're like, oh, not sure what to do next. Look at everything you've got. What do we stop doing right now? What do we maybe need to start doing? And what can we continue doing that is working? I think when you do that, you're able to see the gaps. And doing a gap analysis is the first thing. Getting rid of the overwhelm, assessing, auditing, and then understanding what those gaps are. And I think that when we do that, we're able to get clarity. Because remember, confusion comes from a lack of clarity. Feeling stuck, I feel, is a form of confusion. Not sure what to do next. I'm confused. What am I supposed to do? Clarity is where you're going to get the answer, and clarity is going to help you take action. The second one is uncomfortable. So brace yourself. It's an uncomfortable question that you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself, is this a strategy problem or is this a you problem? I know I said what I said because 9 times out of 10, you may not be stuck because of a strategy. You're stuck because you're scared to move forward with something. And I'm going to give you a personal example is that I have had programs in my business that I have known that I need to retire, but the thought of retiring them, having to deal with the tech of all of that, having to deal with the communication of all of that, and having to deal with what comes after that. So either updating, building something new, like the thought of that is so much to deal with. That has been the issue in moving forward. So it's not that I didn't know what to do. It's that I was scared to make the move. And I think that if we can move through that feeling of feeling scared as quickly as possible, and can I say that is challenging? Like that is not as easy as it sounds. Just move through the fear because there's a lot of work that comes before and after the moving through. But hopefully when you do the first thing, which is the gap analysis, you can start to see what that fear is and you can start to chip away at it. It may not happen overnight. It may not be a big sweeping action, but you can start to say, okay, what can I do right now? And I think for me and for my clients, whenever I get overwhelmed, whenever they get overwhelmed, I always say, I ask myself this question: what is the simple next step that I can take? What is one thing that I can do to get myself moving forward? What do I need in order to start to move this idea, start to move this evolution in the right direction? It's the whole thing of how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And obviously nobody is eating elephants, but you get the point. The next thing that I want you to do is talk to your people. Now, there's two groups of people that I want you to talk to. This isn't your bestie who doesn't maybe understand your business and what it is that you need. Unless they're a business bestie, great. But this is your people. This is your audience. This is your potential customers. This is what do they need? What's going to help them? Like, where do you see the gap and how can you start to fill that gap? And really asking them the question, what do they need right now? What are they struggling with? And being up to date with that feeling for them, I think is really important. It's going to help you to make decisions that help you to move faster as well. Because you're not sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. Is this going to be a thing that they want? So there's a period of research here that you might need to do if you are wanting to evolve into doing something a little bit different or a lot different. The second group of people that I want you to talk about, and hopefully you've got this, because I've got this. I've got a WhatsApp group with a couple of business owners who do what I do. They get what I do. They've been in business for as long as I have. Not that matters, but they're my safe zone. I can just go in there and I can fall apart if I wanted to and tell them all of the problems that I'm having that I may not be sharing publicly online when you're in the midst of the struggle and the stuckness and the trying to figure it out. And so when you've got a safe zone of a person or people where you can just say, this is how I'm feeling, this is the problem, like help, that is such an important thing to have. And if you don't have that in business, I would really encourage you to look at people in your network where you might want to build those sorts of relationships, because business is hard and you can't always go out to your followers and your customers and be like, these are all the problems I'm having. Depending on what it is that you do, you may or may not feel comfortable doing that. So having your business friends who get it and they can help you work through it. You're maybe not looking for the answer, but you're looking for support as you work through the problems, the questions, the issues that you've got. The next one is a big one, and it's a challenging one as well, which is kill the offer that is not working. Whoa, that one hits home. If there are things in your business where you're just like, it's taking up mental space, but it's not actually generating revenue or it's not doing something that it's supposed to do, this is what you have to kill. And I think if you've been in business for as long as I have, this is a tough call sometimes. Because like I said before, you've built it, you've created it, you've branded it, you've sold it. And now the thought of killing it is the hard thing. Because if it doesn't light you up anymore, and I had this conversation with a biz friend the other day where we were talking about when you're not passionate about something, you won't sell it. When you don't love it, you won't sell it. When you don't think that it's up to scratch or where it needs to be, you won't sell it. And so you either have to kill the offer or you have to fix the problem so that you feel great about selling it. And so you've got to do that assessment yourself. When you do your audit, one of the audits should be all of your products and services. What have we got? What's working? What's not working? What lights us up? What doesn't? What's making us money? What's not? Is this where the stuckness is coming from? And the last tip that I'm going to give before we talk about a few other things is going back to biting one thing off at a time. Like, just make a move. Even during this video, if something has come to mind for you where you're like, okay, I need to do this thing, I want you to write it down and I want you to create an action plan and I want you to take action in the next 24 to 48 hours. Like, I think giving yourself a time frame for taking action is really going to help you to get out of the stuckness and get a result faster. Because at the end of the day, you can wallow in stuckness and in overwhelm for a very long time. Because sometimes it's comfortable there, even though it's not profitable, even though it's not helpful. Sometimes it's comfortable because it's like, oh, I just need to make the decision. This is so hard. I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to feel this for weeks on end. It's not helpful, but it's what happened. And being stuck is a choice. Oh, that hits as well, doesn't it? Like when you're stuck, it is a choice that you're making to not pull yourself out of it and move forward. There's a couple of other things that I want to talk about just when it comes to the state of the market too, because as I'm speaking to you at the beginning of 2026, I feel like we're seeing extremes. We're seeing people who are earning $1 million, $2 million a month. We're seeing other people who are really struggling. And I feel like there is a big divide when I look online. The other thing that I see a lot of people talking about is the portfolio career. I'm actually going to have somebody on the Brand Builders Lab podcast talking about this topic. And so just the dynamics of business and work is changing. And I think this is where some people are feeling a bit stuck as well. So for me, I do consulting, I do coaching, I've got courses. And so that to me is a portfolio career where I could be working with a corporate company or an SME. I work with entrepreneurs, I speak at events, I've got courses that I sell. You've got a plethora of things that you're doing. And I see this more and more where business owners, sometimes when their business is not going as well as they want, they stick to it and they don't diversify their thinking. They don't think, okay, how else could this look? And I'm going to give you an example. Is that one of my clients, we were talking about this. Now, when I am looking for a contractor, I have hired people off Upwork, and that's worked really well for me. Now, she is a creative and she's obviously online, she's promoting her business, but I said to her, I think that you need to diversify where you're connecting with clients. And so she created an Upwork profile. She put her rates at a good level and she started getting jobs from that. But what this did as well, because I think sometimes people are like, oh, you have to be cheap if you're on a site like that. And that is not true. People are making a lot of money off sites like Upwork as a different place and revenue stream, especially if you're a service provider. Because the way that it works as well is that you can pitch for roles and they're global and some people's budgets are large and they need somebody on an ongoing basis. So if you're looking at consulting as well, then you could be looking at a retainer every month within your business. And so the reason that I'm sharing this with you is because sometimes when we're stuck, we're kind of just focused on what we do, our business, etc. And that can work sometimes. But I also think in the world that we're in, where we're in the gig economy, where the employment market and the business landscape is constantly shifting, I think also getting creative with the way in which you work with your clients, the way that you earn money, and the different places that you can put yourself. So for example, if you're posting on LinkedIn to build your personal brand so that you can attract clients, amazing. If you're doing that on Instagram, great. If you're on YouTube, fantastic. If you were to go on somewhere like Upwork to attract new clients to you, great. Like I think we've got to not be precious about where we decide to be and just decide where is going to be a good place for us to get paid for our skills and be open to what that looks like. So if you are feeling stuck at the moment, which like I said is normal, do not demonize it for yourself, then those are some things to really think about. How are you auditing? How are you reducing the amount of overwhelm you're putting on your brain? Who are you speaking to and how are you getting the support that you need? How are you looking at what's working and what's not working in your business? How are you taking small steps to move out of it? And what are you doing to look at the business and work landscape and thinking about what else you could do, how it could work, maybe other avenues for revenue generation for yourself? Because I just think we need to have an honest conversation right now about it and not hide from the fact that some businesses are finding it really challenging and then nobody talks about it. And so, yes, I want to help you build a personal brand. Yes, I want to help you make more revenue in your business. I also want to have really honest conversations with you about the business landscape and the things that I'm seeing with my community and people that I'm chatting to about what's working really well and what people are struggling with. And I think the more that we can have open dialogue and normalize the fact that business is hard work because you have to be the engine for it all, I think the better off we'll be. So hopefully that landed for you. I hope that it's helped you to think in a new way. And if you need more help, then make sure you watch this video that can help you make more sales in your business too. And I'll see you next time.